And to be honest, like I feel like in the Melbourne scene, just speaking of, or like there's a lot of b-boys and a lot of people still active and training, but the only problem I feel like is what's the point of training if there's like no platform to really present it?
Boom.
You know, like I don't know if you guys already talked about it, but there's like I just feel like there's not enough chance. Like the kids and b-boys here, like I just go to like MHS, for example, RMIT here, like Box Hill over there. Like there's so many b-boys just training in different spots. That's true, but like at the same time, like even if they can, even if they can represent just around Melbourne, like around the corner, like this platform for us here, like maybe it will motivate them to go to Sydney, like instead of going their first jam over there.
Yeah, true. There's also this thing happening where like you see this every week at the training place, and then they're not at the gym.
That's
like the one jam.
That is true.
Like,
that is also
that was
true.
your chance.
That was your chance. Like this is true. Like there is.
Good morning, people there on IG. What is going on? 20 minutes. We got 20 minutes to talk shit before good old Sister Melody arrives for us to do some breaking. I'm excited because it's been a minute since I've actually danced with Sister Mello. And you know, if you don't know who Sister Melody is, she's like an OG B-girl here from Melbourne. And it's nice, it's really nice when, you know, someone close to your age, if not your age, that grew up at the time when you were laying down the work. It's exciting, man. It's really exciting. She's also one of the co-founders of Migrant Coffee. Shout out to Migrant Coffee in West Footscray, Barclay Street, I believe, in Little India. And we're gonna throw down. I guess a lot of reasons why I'm doing the talking heads a lot more at the moment, as opposed to the DJing stuff and all of those other things. It's crazy times, and I think a lot of talking needs to be had. And if you know anything about social media, you know, the talking heads is kind of thing, whether you like it or not, you know. It's just part of the work of, respecting your audience, speaking, engaging with your audience. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, right, was how it kind of pains me a bit. That the Melbourne breaking scene isn't what it used to be. And this could be an opportunity to flex because I was heavily involved with my scene back in the day, in terms of, you know, being a community leader, being a provider, being a curator of events, being an event coordinator, holding workshops, going to schools, teaching programs. You know, things were set out differently back in the day. You know what I mean? And I don't know, there was just a different mode for us older millennials, you know. And I asked myself the question, well, where are those people today? And perhaps because that education wasn't passed on, we didn't put a lot of our stuff online, and the new generation came in clean without actually having any relations with actual people at the front line, if I may use that language, representing, you know, doing the things that you did as a dancer, as a competitive dancer, as a professional dancer, as a community grassroots dancer, you know, going to bars, going to clubs, until recently. And so it's understandable why there's a gap. Very understandable why there is a gap. And for some reason, the internet has decided to shit itself, and we are back online. Yeah. So, you know, those feelings come in today because my daughter went to school today for the first time. And yeah, a bit emotional there because, you know, there's a bit of a fear of corona. Those kids are going back, and there's a potential that they might get corona. You know what I mean? Anyways, that being said, you know, that kind of has allowed for some other feelings to resurface, and we were going back into the past again. And you know, we're not about staying in the past. We're about moving forward, about progressing, in light of what's been happening with Indigenous Lives Matter, with Black Lives Matter. You know, and you know, I think dancers now, especially now, have an ability to spread the word of dance, and perhaps step out of their comfort zones, and really instigate some change, especially in terms of how dance is perceived. You know, things like getting together with other dancers outside of training, and making this stuff a little bit more public, you know, holding jams and gatherings since the laws have loosened, you know, 10 to 20 people, I think it is. I can't remember the laws. At risk, of course. Of I mean, if you're exercising social distancing, then that should be all right. But a question is, if it's transferred through droplets, and some dude's sweating on the floor, and then you scoop that up with your forehead or your hands, and then you rub your eyes or touch, you know, other orifices in which the virus can go through, then hey, have yourself a good time. Frio, shout outs to you. Then, you know, it's kind of an interesting topic there. But I think the question is, it's like, how are we in Melbourne going to, well, how are you? Yeah, how are you in Melbourne going to try and revive a scene that's kind of died? It's kind of died, guys. How did it die? You know, kind of died, guys, and it's a tough one. It's a tough one. But yeah, I just thought I'd get that out while I'm waiting for Sister Melody to come through. You can do some dancing, you know, talk about old school shit, talk about vibes, you know, and move forward with the shit, you know. Yeah, I just feel like the prevailing conservatism has prevented. It really has prevented the progress, at least in the public realm, of this dance. And I believe in things like divine timing. And, you know, perhaps it was just meant to be that there is this lull, you know, this full lull of how breaking is experienced in Melbourne today, you know. Mind you, I must remind you guys of the resources that you have now. If you're from Melbourne and you're watching this, I have to remind you of the resources you have now to create some incredible community work. Yes, that's how I'm going to reframe this whole talk. 8 minutes in. You guys really need to think of this stuff as a communal thing. This is about dropping your differences, you know, and working with people that you may not necessarily feel like working with or are naturally rivaled against, whether through a conduit of like a mutual friend or group or connection, and really take it to the next level and start merging together and doing the work, playing the game, so to speak. You know, our crew, Fresh Socks, was made of 3 rival crews, and from those initial base founding members that were all rivals, we ended up influencing a whole scene. Yeah, it's almost like a super crew, so to speak, except it was a super crew of the most unlikely individuals you would expect together in a group, because of personality traits and beliefs and how we operated. And what did we do? We were one of the fucking best crews in Melbourne. Now I'm trying to adapt with the times. And to adapt with the times is to really, you know, do some fucking fancy shit like this. Like, hey, welcome to the long lateral. This is your boy Lamaroc 9, aka Faith Son 9, and we're doing the talking heads bullshit. And you know, like, and look at my whole like demeanor. I don't know many younger people who are doing that. Well, there's probably a lot, but you know, like, I'm obviously from a different era. My era in breaking was 98 to 2016. You know, and only in the past couple of years have I gained a role as a guider, as a instructor, as an old school guy, you know, as an OG. I'm an OG. And what's interesting is that for me to like to posit myself and to assert myself into this digital era, I kind of, I was a self-proclaimed old school fuckwit, which used to be a term that we used to use to diss other OGs, or our OGs that were fucking gooses at the time, you know, and you know, it's wrong. But I can understand that sentiment, because that sentiment is definitely something that, you know, is something that I think a lot of younger people feel towards their elders. Oh, fuck that guy, he's a fucking old school fuckwit. Oh, fuck that crew, they're fucking a bunch of fucking old school fuckwits. And I think it's hilarious, and it's definitely part and parcel of our Australian culture of self-deprecation and owning that shit. Yeah, like, I'll say it now, right? I'll say it now, in spite of all the fucking hectic racism that's going on right now. Back in the day, you know, I would have been butthurt if someone called me a ching chong. Motherfucker, I'm not Chinese. I might have Chinese blood, but I ain't Chinese. Don't call me a ching chong just because I'm slanty-eyed. And do these eyes really look that slanted to you? They're pretty fucking round. and it's taking ownership of that, yeah? Yes, I'm a fucking ching chong bad guy in a kung fu movie, you know? And I'm the bad guy in the movie that you think's a bad guy through the whole movie, only to realize he's actually the good guy. What a narrative to follow, hey? What a set of circumstances to like watch unfold. But hey, on that tip though, you know, good or bad, I think the morality of it is not the point here. The point being is that fucking we need to, well, you guys need to fucking, I'm calling you guys out. You guys need to be like uniting together and doing some shit, like doing some fucking events or something, or holding a jam or a cook up, or you know, like something, man, and get together and start breaking and shit. Let me just see if Sister Melody is here. Is that Sister Melody? No, that's not Sister Melody. But yeah, you know, just fucking, your scene, guys, is not up to what YouTube tells you. Your scene is not up to the next event organizer's fucking battle or competition. Your scene is you. I don't know if you guys get that. Your scene is you. Like when we were younger, we took it in our own hands to develop our own scene. My question is, are you doing that? Is that something that you're doing? Is that something you're proactively doing? You know, are you trying to get to the next b-boy event? You know, are you feeling a bit tired of waiting for the next breaking battle to happen, that you couldn't actually call up a few mates and go, hey, let's go down to the state library, we'll drop the boomy and we'll just throw down, you know? Well, shall we go busking? Shall we do some cool shit? You know, like what do you kids do these days? Like when we were younger, we were like trying to get out of the suburbs, we were trying to get into the city, just trying to roam the streets with $5 in our fucking wallet, only enough after buying the train ticket or jumping the barriers, you know, for only $5 to get, you know, with a $3 Whopper voucher, you know, to get 2 Whoppers and then maybe a frozen Coke from fucking 7-Eleven. And we would be in the city the whole day. Because we would have had to be in home before dark, or else we'd get fucking a whoop ass dropped on us, you know? But even then, we were at 15, 16 already breaking the rules and getting in trouble for like hanging out with our mates all fucking day, you know? And from there, like when I turned like 17, 18, you know, after being kicked out of home, you know, for a little bit, like, you know, hanging out with dudes who had cars that were keen to go to bars and clubs and hang out, you know, for the night. We would never drink. We would never drink. We would get free drink cards because we were the B-boys and B-girls at the bars and clubs back in the day, you know? And then when it came to like running events, it was like, well, we didn't really have the money to hire a studio out for like $40 for the hour. You know, meaning if we wanted the place for like at least 3 hours, it would have been $120. We didn't have that money. Where the fuck did that money come from? Especially when you're teaching a dance lesson, and that dance lesson only paid you $40 for the hour. You know, and I'm still getting paid that at some places. You know, which is me devaluing myself, but that's a whole nother story. You know, it's a compromise towards community and whatnot, which is fucking questions of my morals as well, actually. But at the 17-minute mark, guys, yeah, where are you guys doing that today? Where are you guys going and saying, I don't have the money to hire out a venue to run a proper event, and just taking it to the streets where this shit belongs? Yeah, this is block party shit. Hip-hop is block party shit. Hip-hop is like for everyone to enjoy, not just the B-boys, not just the B-girls. It was for the fly boys, for the fly girls. It was for the local residents. It was for the gangsters. It was for everyone, you know? It was like a place where everyone could drop their shit, get together, and start enjoying themselves. And I get it, you know? Breaking now, dance now, is so detailed. It's so sophisticated. There are so many nuances. There are so many embellishments that, you know, the simplified way of or wow factor that you get from breaking is kind of not there anymore. Why? Because, alright, I haven't shared this publicly, right? But it's because, guys, all of these one-on-one competitions, right? And not calling them out for the good things that they've done, but for what's happened as a result of them, you know, not as a result of them becoming successful. That's become the new norm. That has become the new norm. May I state again, that has become the new norm. And if you think about hip-hop culture as in part a culture that's considered counterculture, research that word, counterculture, perfect for things like rallies and protests, yeah, and alternative ways to live, yeah. Like hip hop, hip hop will always be a little thorn in the throat of big corporate events because it in nature it's meant to be counteracting that kind of vibe, that kind of energy, yeah. And so the point is this: I'm all about Red Bull, BC1. I'm all about Monster Jams and that because it gives an opportunity for individuals who work hard to shine. Number one, okay. Number two, it's good because it's a conduit for investors and people to put money into the entertainment side and the professional side of b-boying, breaking, for b-boys and b-girls, breakers, to actually make something out of themselves, out of their serious hobby. Yeah, I've made a full-time career being a performer, being an instructor, being a judge, you know, being a counselor, being a person who talks on, you know, who's on a board with, you know, other event organizers, whatnot, you know. The only thing is it hasn't yet been part of something that's sustainable on a local level, you know. And we do access funding from grants and work with councils, and the thing with that is that there's a bureaucracy. Hey, shout outs to Alex Vincent. Are you coming back here, mate? Yeah, you know, the councils and the bureaucracy and all that. Sometimes that can bog down the progress of a community. Yeah. So I mean, look, I'm gonna use you as an example, Miss Vincent, but you know, someone like Alex Vincent has the ability to work in different worlds. She can be a B girl. She can be a competitor. She could be a peer, someone who could guide other people like herself, whoever they may be. But on the other side, she's a photographer. You know, and who's documenting the b-boys and the b-girls? It's probably people like her. Yeah, and so you know, these are the things that I'm talking about. You know, it's like with a whole one-on-one thing, we've kind of become reliant on this mainstream source to sort of inform us of what we should be doing as b-boys and b-girls, when in fact, not every Tom, Dick and Harry is going to be a top tier super b-boy or b-girl that has the best stats. What are your stats? That's the main question. You know, it relates to the whole mainstream society of social media and how we gain information and how we use that information today. Everyone wants full stats. Everyone wants super duper full stats. 100% everything. 100% power. 100% freezes. 100% musicality. 100% top rockability. 100% you know, personality. 100% character. You know? And it's like it's practically impossible for the vast majority. You have to be really gifted and you have to be really disciplined to like be on that level, you know, especially when we're talking about longevity. And so how do we diffuse that? Because obviously we've been programmed that social media informs us all, teaches us about, you know, political correctness. The education systems teach a certain thing. You know, it incorporates things like social media sources, you know, and there's a whole breakdown of things. Look, don't quote me on that, but that's how I feel about, you know, the new generation that I meet. You know, we're having this debate on who originated, you know, the African Americans who originated hip-hop dance, when really that's only a half-truth. Yeah, what about the Latin Americans that originated hip-hop? What about the indigenous Americans that were part of the narrative, you know, that created hip-hop? What about the white people that were involved with hip-hop when it started? Yeah, so at the end of the day, if you're from the Bronx and if you've watched Alienessa's recent clip, which is an old clip from way back in the day, from Mighty Four, where they ask what what should a b-boy do? I think the question was, what should a b-boy do to like take their breaking to the next level? And Nesh just straight up said, go to the Bronx, hang out in the Bronx, just observe people in the Bronx, how they move, how they feel, so you can understand why the dance, why the culture is the way it is, you know, because how the people talk with their hands, how they interact with each other, you know, how they stand on the corner, how they go shopping, how they interact. Yeah. And so to bring it all back, I'm going in a million tangents because you are tuned into the Long Lateral, and this is why I made this show, so I could just brain vomit every day, all day, Hyundai. Is that we need to divvy up the superhuman b-boy, b-girl, breaker, you know, break trans, whoever you may be, yeah, as a top tier dancer, and that archetype of like a super duper champion, you know, sponsored by energy drink, and we need to diffuse that back into the multiple parts that make a whole. That is the ultimate. If you can be the ultimate, like standalone b-boy, that b-girl that can carry the skill and the style of 10 other b-boys and b-girls, then props to you, because you would have worked hard for that. Yeah. But the reality is, as I'm trying to say, is not everyone is cut out to be top tier like that. Not everyone is that talented to be that. And so how do we create an even playing field for our community? You need to bring it back to the crew. You need to bring it back to having crews. You need to bring it back to going to events where it's crew versus crew, whether it's a crew of 2 people or a crew of 30. That'd be amazing to see. All right. Next up, we got the Brimbank B-boys and B-girls, which is just a couple, a guy and a girl, theoretically, yeah. Versus, you know, the Melbourne City Breakers, yeah, rockers, whatever you want to call them, yeah. And it'll be 30 dudes from the city versus, and the best of the 100 people that go to the city that are part of that crew, but only the best, we pick 30. Oh, screw it. It's 100 of those people, right? It's 100 of those people versus 2 people, you know, versus 2 people from Brimbank. That would be great. Then the people in Brimbank will realize, damn, you know, we got a lot of work to do, and that's a catalyst, you know, that's if that's the right word, catharsis, for them to get off their ass and train harder, so that next time they interact with the 30 or 100 so Melbourne City Breakers in a battle, they can chip away at their whole entourage. There's a word for like a big army, I can't remember what it's called, you know. And in turn, then maybe, you know, like Sydney City Breakers decides to come down. Again, these are theoreticals. And it's like, yep, 100 of their best versus 100 of Melbourne's best, right? And it's not just about having big numbers. Big numbers is good, so we can think about how we fit in a larger community, that everyone plays a role. Oh, Sydney City Breakers has brought out their air flare guy. Hey, Melbourne City Rockers, where's our air flare guy? Send him out. Respond to the Sydney guys' air flares. Boom. So they have an air flare battle, however many rounds. You know, it's basically a one-on-one when you battle, yeah. And then they send out the footwork guy from Sydney, right? Oh, and by the way, the Sydney guy is an ally from Brisbane. He's actually part of Brisbane City Breakers, yeah. But he just decided to come down because he's the only one that's part of a Brisbane contingent in this Melbourne event, yeah. So boom, this guy comes out. He's doing footwork, just footwork. He didn't even bother doing the top rock after the last air flare guy from Melbourne. He didn't bother with the top rock. He just went straight down, mad angles, did mad footwork and shit. And then the Sydney cat decided to come out. Sorry, a Melbourne guy decided to come out and do some footwork. But as a crew, whoever was kind of leading it, or, you know, collectively on the sidelines, they were like, hey, Lama, you're gonna come out and you're gonna do that sick footwork solo, and then from there you're gonna commando Johnny in, and then from Johnny it's gonna become a crew routine. So boom, it pans out like that. Bang, I'm doing some footwork, hitting mad angles, I'm throwing some burns, bang, then I commando Johnny in, and then when Johnny comes up, boom, there's a whole like Melbourne City Breakers fucking crew routine. So all of a sudden you're seeing 100 people all move in unison against the 100 guys from Sydney. Yeah, then that's where it starts to level up. Then the Sydney guys are like, yep, we were going to be, we're prepared for this. As soon as we finish the routine, as soon as the Melbourne City Breakers finish the routine, boom, Sydney City Breakers come out and they do their full routine against them, bang, and it layers and it layers and layers. Then all of a sudden the DJ or the Spotify, whatever you're using, it's popping music, or it sounds like popping music. So boom, out comes the popper from Sydney, because Sydney's got the strongest popping scene in the country. Boom, he's coming out. It's like, fuck this. The energy's so good. I'm gonna come out and pop. I know it's a b-boy battle, but it's a crew battle, so I'm gonna come out. I'm the popper for Sydney. Bang, comes out, does these angles, bang, and then what happens there? Boom, the guys from O2, the guys from Metaphysical Groove, whoever from Melbourne City Breakers. On the Melbourne City Breakers side comes out, they come out with their popping, and then it just, it's this full-on fucking battle, and everyone has a role in it, and they can be themselves. They don't need to try to be anything bigger or greater than that. Okay, so that's the ideal situation that I've painted in my head, that I've imagined, and these things used to happen, man. These things used to happen. Wait till you see the footage come out and the terrible political incorrectness that was spat out that day by the different crews that used to battle on the streets. Yeah, and it's not like we battle in the streets to be tough or anything. It's like we battle in the streets because that was the only way we knew how to, because we couldn't afford a dance studio. We couldn't afford like a super primo friggin' bar or club venue for us to run an event. We just took the matter at hand and brought it to the streets. We put up a post on before social media. We were hitting the forums hard, like a Reddit, so to speak. But dude used to get slayed on that. Dude got slayed on that shit. Dude, the amount of dissing that happened on that. Thank God there was never any physical altercations from that, but definitely tension enough for a physical altercation to happen. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that, boom, like, the question to you kids out there is, what are you trying to do to improve or contribute to your community, to your scene? Yeah? Like, do you not think of yourself as the scene? That's the moral here. Do you not consider yourself a part of the scene? Do you not consider yourself the scene? What is the scene? What is the community if nothing's happening? Tell me, like, from 98, when there was only a handful of b-boys, less than 100, to now where there's probably 100, if not less, like a bit less than that. Like, tell me, like, why isn't it that you guys aren't ripping it hard and representing? It's a call out. It's a call out, guys. I want to know why you guys aren't representing. I want to know why you guys aren't holding your own local jams. I want to know why everything is still centralized in the city and is not open to your own individual sort of training spots, if not your training spot. I get it, because your training spot is your sacred dojo. It's where, you it's your headquarters. You don't just invite anyone to your headquarters, especially when you might have, someone gathering intel on your quadrant of the state, and like sussing you out and sussing out your moves so that they can use it against you in the art of battle. None of that. But at least, like a local jam at the most centralized spot, halfway between your suburb, let's say here, this council of Brimbank, and to the city. The halfway spot is either Sunshine or Footscray, In fact, Footscray is already getting real close to the city because it's only one stop from North Melbourne, or two stops from North Melbourne. But yeah, what are you guys doing? I see these skaters, I see these new school skaters, the new school skaters have always been sort of ahead of the curve in terms of like how cool they are, because they got the skateboard, and then they can just travel wherever they want, and they can represent wherever they want, and they can wear whatever they want, and they're just cool like that, But b-boys and b-girls, we made Adidas fresh. Your ancestors in this dance made the brands now, what they are. We're like the Michael Jordans for Nike. Nike was nothing until Michael Jordan became sponsored by Nike, whatever. You know, B-boys, we made Kangol fresh. We made the local fashion fresh from the era of that era of the 70s and 80s. You know, we were the ones who wore the cheap Lee jeans and made them fresh. We're the ones who wore Puma, who wore I was about to say Dada, no. How can I forget these shoes? Fucking Pro Kids, and Pony, and all of these different brands. You know, we made them fresh. We wore Cortezes, put fat laces on that shit. We owned that shit. You know, we were the guys. Our ancestors were the guys who made the first raps, who made the first pieces. You know, and then everyone went and specialized in the different areas. Where is that for our B-boy community, B-girl community, breaking community? Where is that? Does that even exist? How many of you guys are actually, you know, good drawers, illustrators? How many of you guys actually illustrate and try to write your name in the graffiti style, whether you get from the foundations or not? You know, how many of you guys are doing that, applying that to your graphic design or whatever you're studying, or create your own apparel, like all of these other guys who don't even consider themselves hip-hop heads, and they're actually doing that for their own little subculture community. You know, people, some of the new school kids now, you know, they're creating lo-fi beats, and they're doing trap raps on top of some of them, you know, and they're dressed fresh, they got their own style, yeah, and they got this massive network on social media, and they gather in big groups, and they represent at concerts. You know, like if Smino comes down, their whole contingent comes through. You know, and you can tell, hey, that's one group over there. They're the lo-fi guys that rap and trap. You know, and create their own fashion. Where are those people here in our community, for the b-boy community? Where are you guys? What the fuck are you guys doing? That's the question, guys. Shout outs to Zara Haynes. You know, so this is a call out for the B-boys and the B-girls, yeah? You know, I wish that there was an organized front of dancers at the rally on last Saturday. You know, and I'm shattered I couldn't be there, but I'm making amends, and I'm talking to my brother Brent, Indigenous dancer from Culture Evolves, you know, because I saw a post and it hit me hard, you know. It's like, when I dance, it's my way to protest amongst a massive list of things that he wrote there. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? How come us dancers didn't do that shit? Why? Because we've been pushed to the side, and our understanding of dance has changed. Whereas back in the day, it was fine to dance. People didn't point at the dance and say, oh, you're taking away the attention from the bigger matter at hand. No, we were encouraged to dance because that's what dudes do at rallies and protests. They sing, they dance, they perform. And so I'm wondering what's happened to our community. Why? You know, like I've been distant, and you know, to return back to the beginning of this conversation, yes, I used to be heavily involved. I used to be a leader in the group. I mean, in a small community of, you know, 20-year-olds that were creating the new b-boy, b-girl breaking hip-hop scene, you know. But I'm wondering why that's not happening now. Where are you young cats that are really about this and making a stand for it, you know? Like, if Black Lives Matter and Indigenous lives matter, yeah, then would it not be a disservice if we don't make a tribute to them for the benefits we get for what they taught us? Do you not see that this here is one of our Bibles, yeah? That, you know, what do you see there? What do you see there? Yeah? What do you see there? Are they people that are not like you? Are they people that are similar to you? They are, man. Where are the pictures of the B-boys here? Anyways, subway art, you know? Yeah, here's a good example of the cultural diversity of hip hop. Look at that. Where are you guys? Where are you having fun like that, creating murals like that? Where are you dreamers? I'm not seeing you. I'm not seeing you activate change. I want to see you guys make change. You know, being on the edge like Scheme here. Look what Scheme's doing. What a mad cunt. Look at that. It's a bit hard to get the focus right. But anyway, he's lying down there in front of the friggin' piece that he created. You know, I'm wondering where all you guys are. Maybe what's just happened recently is going to be the thing that's going to change that. Yeah. Look at Lady Pink here. Look at Lady Pink here with her chihuahua. Look at her paint collection, man. And, you know, she could probably top rock a bit. She'd probably, you know, a little funky dancer herself. You know? Like counterculture, guys. Counterculture. We can't rely on the mainstream sources. We can't rely on the mainstream sources to be like telling us and dictating to us what hip hop is, what breaking is. Yeah? And we also can't allow cancel culture to cancel us because they say that we're appropriating something. That's not what this shit is about. That argument is dead. That argument is gonna kill this scene. Yeah? Look, I get it. Look, don't get me wrong. Props where props are due. There are definitely African Americans that were the roots of this whole culture. Yeah? But there are also the Latin Americans. I must reiterate, there are also the Latin Americans. There are also the Caribbean, people of Caribbean diaspora. Yeah? Jamaicans, you know, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans. Yeah? And we also got the Native Americans and the whites. Maybe there was an Asian person here and there. That was one OG B-boy. But I've not heard that part of the narrative just yet. You know? And so I'm doing this kind of community announcement because as a Zulu king, yeah, as a Zulu king, I'm a king. And you should think of yourself as a king or a queen or whatever role you feel like. That's why we got into this hip-hop shit in the first place, because this shit empowered us as youth. This shit gave us identity. This shit allowed us to be somebody when if you weren't involved in hip-hop or breaking, you didn't have no special power to be a superhero type. Hey man, you know what I do? I spit on my head, motherfucker. You know what I do? I dance, motherfucker. I don't fight. Yeah? Can you do this shit? Can you do that shit? No. And that's supposed to be an empowering thing. And I'm asking again, where are you guys? Where the fuck are yous? Where are you people? Do we have to wait for another event organizer to help push this scene? Do we need to rely on their thousands of dollars to like organize an event where they're almost more than likely not to make a break even, make any money back, just so that you can have your 1 30-second, 1 minute round and then that's it, you know? And you only pay and you complain when the event is more expensive than $10 or further from this or outside of the city, too far. Yeah, is that the scene? Is that what you are? Is that the scene now? Is the scene like a spoiled bunch of brats, privileged brats that only want to invest their time and money into it if it benefits them 200%, as opposed to taking this idea of community and culture into your own hands and putting your energy into that and making that grow. That's what this talk is about. That's what this talk is about. Are you not community? Do you not think of yourself as someone who's empowered that can actually do something? Obviously not, because nothing is happening. I get it. It's hard. You're trying to combat your social media. You're trying to combat the rhetoric that tells you, oh, you're just appropriating some black culture, and you know no one's gonna listen to you. You're a nobody, yeah. And yeah, you know, like fucking community's an evil word, and fucking you ain't worth shit. It's like, nah, fuck that, bro. Fuck that. That is bullshit. How many hours do you have in a day, and then in a week, and then in a month, and then in a year? And you telling me in that time, in however many years you've been involved in a culture like hip hop or in breaking, that in that time you couldn't organize and bring people together? Come on, man. It's as simple as getting on a group chat. It's like, hey guys, I'm gonna go to Footscray, and I'm gonna bring my boomy, and I've got my lino with me. Mum's going to Footscray Market, but she said she can help me bring the lino there, or cardboard, and we just break, or just straight break on concrete. Then after that we can go get fur. Like, where are you guys? Where the fuck are you guys that are trying to do that shit? Yeah. Even if it was to trap music or whatever, every other motherfucker's on TikTok, but they're not on the fucking streets or in a place where people can actually get together and dance. And you're worried about how you look and what other people think and what they say. When really, you really need to be taking that shit into your own hands. And fuck, I'm repeating myself now, and I'm just having a fucking rant. But you get what I'm trying to say. And I hope you take these words in and you reflect on them. Shout outs to Ante Probanic. You know, this brother here, Ante Probanic, is an example of someone who seeks out information, who seeks out knowledge. You know, brother man is a Croatian. He understands his heritage. He even went back to Croatia to connect with his family. You know, he saw the world at a young age, and now he's back in Melbourne, and he's more directed now. Yeah. How many of you guys are doing that? How many of you b-boys and b-girls have thought about going to the United States? You know, even just to LA first to begin with, even though that's not the roots of where breaking is. You've got to go to New York. You've got to go return to the Mecca. How many of you guys know that that's what hip-hop heads say? You've got to return to the Mecca. Isn't Mecca where Islam, where people of Islamic faith go? You know, at the end of every Ramadan, or I don't know their religion, their culture that well, but you know, do you not know that hip-hop heads use the same terminology when referring to going back to New York, when going back to the Bronx to understand hip-hop culture? You know? Like, yo, I'm telling you, man, like, b-boys, b-girls, I'm not saying everyone, yeah? And you have your reasons, and I'm not putting you down. Don't get me wrong. I'm just being an old school fuckwit, and this is how we talk. This is our way of talking and how we question things, right? Especially me. But what the fuck? Like, here you got my bro, Ante Probanic, right? Working to be a PT. He's running multiple Twitch streams, yeah? He's doing live videos on his IG, you know? He's working out, he's eating well, he's growing as a person, yeah? And it's for him to develop his own community, yeah? How many of you b-boys and b-girls are doing that? Are you trying to develop your community? Are you trying to assert yourself and posit yourself as part of the community? Are you not community? You yourself, are you not community? I'm community, but I'm an old school fuckwit. So I sit here in my garage and I do my work, and I got my real life to handle, but I'm trying to constantly implement this kind of hip-hop shit back into the new school generation. But it won't work if none of you guys are actually getting off your asses and making a positive change. That's why I fuck with Ante Probanic, because Mr. Probanic here, he's keen, he's down. He actually even wants to learn some breaking. He just, with the way the world's going and you know, schedules, we just haven't been able to get him back here to do some footwork and freezes. But he's down, and he's already had a shot at doing it. And he would be the scene would benefit from someone like you, Ante. I'm telling you. And he can dance choreography. Yeah? So anyways, look, this is out to people who might feel like they're a bit too comfortable, a bit too complacent, you know, that haven't really sort of done anything, with what they do, and understandably so. Yeah, the pressures of the world right now make it difficult for you, and have made it difficult for you to get off your ass, because you know you're comparing yourself again to some of the most rare people that are top tier dancers that you know got sponsorships and have been. Don't forget they were shit too back in the day. Everyone starts shit and eventually works to that point where they're fucking amazing. That's where we need to take this shit. Yeah, we need to diffuse that again, you know, and make that one superhuman b-boy, b-girl dancer back into the 10 people, all with their own specialties, yeah, and gather as a congregation of people with the same interests, and find other people with the same interests, and then play the game. You gotta battle, man. You gotta battle. You don't have to be beefy with each other. You don't need to talk shit about each other, yeah, unless, you know, that's the game you want to play. But yeah, shoot me a direct message right in the comments. I'm gonna upload this when the time comes. But yeah, I want to address these issues, yeah. And we've been chatting it up for 50 minutes now. Thank you for all the people who were watching. Yeah, it's Lamaroc 9, Fresh Sock $7, MCK. Peace.